What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the World Hard Enduro podcast, episode 44. In today's episode, we're going to be chatting about what is actually going on in the world of hard enduro. Man, so much confusion, and I hope that we can shed some light on this mysterious topic at the moment and just fill you in with more details about what we know after speaking to the organizers, the riders, and just people in the industry. So, yeah, and let's get straight into it.
I'm glad that we're doing this because I am hella confused as to what's going on in the world of hard enduro at the moment. It seems like there's no clear path on where it's going this year.
And you're not the only one. I think that many of the people out there are struggling to figure out what is going on. And it's not just spectators, it's teams, it's riders, it's brands, it's the whole industry at the moment. What do we know, T?
Well, let's start at, I guess you could say, the beginning of when all of this, I would say, drama started. So a little after the championship last year, obviously we all know that there was some news and some turmoil for KTM, and that itself instigated a bit of a ripple effect with regards to, I would say, multiple things. And one of those things were the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship, as well as WES Promotions. So ultimately, WES Promotions didn't have the financial stability or support after KTM situation to kind of continue as a company and then to host the 2025 Hard Enduro World Championship. So they pulled out as a promoter, which kind of put the championship in an awkward or complicated situation. FIM basically has made a statement saying that they don't want to cancel the championship. That's not their intention. They wanted to continue into 2025 and into the future. Their suggestion or alternative was to find a new promoter for this year and for the future of, the championship. We are kind of in a situation now where I think it was as of the 25th of March, a new promoter or anyone who was interested in being a promoter needed to kind of put their name forward with a proposal for what they would want to do. And this is a long-term proposal. It's more of a 5 to 10 year plan and not just a 1 year plan. And since then, we've actually heard nothing. FIM has been very quiet. No news has come out. And I think by not announcing anything, it has kind of just caused so much confusion and, quite frankly, it's a little bit chaotic. So that's where we are right now.
Taking a little bit of a step back, also to be very clear, WES Promotions was 100% owned by Peer Mobility, which is obviously the parent company of KTM. So that is the connection between the funding behind WES Promotion and then essentially the championship, the WES Hard Enduro Championship. So the situation is that FIM at the moment, they now don't have a promoter because WES is pulled out. They don't have the funding, as you've mentioned, and now they need to look for an alternative solution because they aren't going to fork out the money to basically promote the 2025 championship. So it's a bit of a situation now where, okay, who's going to pay for it?
Yeah, and I think it just confirms everyone's suspicions on how much of an influence KTM actually had in this championship.
Yes. Yeah. I honestly think that there's two ways you can think about this. You can think, okay, that's very biased, that there can be very biased motives towards this. Or you can think about it from the other end, that they actually did the sport such a solid. Because if it wasn't for KTM, if it wasn't for WES Promotions, that we wouldn't have had, the 5 to 6 years of hard enduro world championships, getting FIM involved and all that. So I think, as a manufacturer, as a fan of the sport, I'm super grateful for that. I'm not sitting here being sour saying, KTM's got their fingers in the pie. I'm grateful for what they've done for the sport. Yes, it does sadden me that the smaller manufacturers don't have a stronger pull on the industry and on the championships itself. They don't sell as many bikes as KTM. It's pretty clear. So the budgets are smaller. They have to be a little bit more frugal with what they're doing inside the department and the finance department. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on now.
Yeah, and I wonder if they were given more of a more of a timeline ahead, because it was very sudden, right?
Yes.
When it was cancelled and called off. I wonder if there was more time, could they have found someone else?
Yeah, that's a good question and a good point. I don't think so. I mean, it was so sudden, right? Like, and that gets to my second point of this, is that it was sudden, right? So the championship was already set up. All the races were already going for 2025. Race organizers had their itinerary. They had the systems and processes in place to make that race happen. Then Wes Promotion suddenly doesn't have funding. My question is, why doesn't FIM approach these championship races and basically just have a big round table meeting with them and saying, hey guys, we want to set up a long-term solution for this, hence finding a new promoter for the next 10 years or whatever. But in the short term, meanwhile, let's come together and let's just make this championship work for 2025. We cut a couple of the big races out so that people don't have to travel over the world. So for sure, outliers, Canada, get that out the way. It's too far for everyone to travel inside the championship, and just focus on let's say 4 or 5 rounds, and really double down on just something for this year. And the fact that hasn't happened yet, it's just, that sucks. I don't know.
It's confusing. It's confusing why that hasn't happened yet. And it's not just confusing for us, it's confusing for everyone. So I want to speak a little bit about who is actually affected by this situation.
Yeah.
So it starts off with obviously the riders and the teams. We've been speaking to a lot of riders recently about, everything that's going on and the championship and what's happening. And a lot of them are asking us to let them know if we get any information. Do you know what I mean? The riders don't even know what's going on, and they were part of this championship. They were scheduled and attending all of these races, and now all of a sudden they themselves don't know. And it's not only affecting them in terms of a calendar, but 100% it's affecting them with regards to sponsorships. I know of so many riders who had sponsors for this year, and now those sponsors have kind of pulled out because, quite frankly, what's the point? Why should they sponsor a rider who isn't in a championship, who isn't in a world championship, who's really not going to give them a return on that investment? So the first ones being affected are the riders themselves.
Yeah, and to go back onto your point, Bernie, I don't think that the organizers of all of the races are not willing to get together and talk about it. I'm sure all of them are just as willing to make this championship happen, not only for themselves, for the riders, for the sport. So if FIM had to call them up and say, hey boys, let's have a sit down here and a little chat, I don't think any of them would be opposed to doing that and making this happen. I mean, we're in April now and we have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
We're a third or a quarter of the way through the year and there's no news.
Well, there is news, but kind of from this unofficial side. So on the other end of the spectrum, then we've got Red Bull Romaniacs and Red Bull Erzberg kind of joining together and claiming the Extreme Enduro or Hard Enduro World Championship kind of title or giveaway. And we've been speaking to a lot of riders, a lot of organizers. I mean, we're in communications with quite a few people in the industry, getting their opinion of how they feel about this. Yeah, for sure, it's cool to have something for this year, but just to claim it the way that they've done, really not going through FIM. Again, why couldn't Red Bull Romaniacs and Erzberg, contact Nick Plum from Valley's Hard Enduro and say, hey, this is what we're trying to think. You host round 1, we'll do rounds 2 and 3. Hispania or whoever's next Hispania and Getson will be round 4 and 5, why did they have to now just go kind of capture that, take it for themselves,
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. It baffles me that they weren't included as one, because it's who, I mean, I don't mean to call anyone out, but who are they to just be this is now a championship?
Yeah.
Without, I've never in my life heard of a championship that consists of 2 races.
It's not even. It's one. It's one champion is crowned at each race. Yeah. At Erzberg, you are the Extreme Enduro champion, and at Romaniacs, you are I think it's the Rally World champion. So one race, they are claiming, determines a champion, or at least a championship. which quite frankly, I agree with you, Chris. It's kind of unheard of. Like, in what world is one race or two races a championship? It just doesn't make sense. I feel like no offense, but like they saw an opportunity and they took the opportunity and no one else has. So, I mean, good on them for taking the opportunity, but at the same time, at what risk? You know, I don't think that the other event organizers or the race organizers or the riders or even FIM at that, I mean, I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think that anyone necessarily approves of the way that they've gone about this. So, yes, they took an opportunity, but is it worth it?
Yeah, and like I think, like your point, like, who are they? Like, I feel like for sure they have a grip on the industry. I mean, they are the number one hard enduro rally and hard enduro races in the world, you know, like Carl Katoch and Martin van Ademets, they do an awesome job running those events. So for sure they are like the cream of the crop, but yeah, let's work together, right? Like I think that's the biggest point here is like, in order for hard enduro to grow, which we all know it can, you know, like the fact that people are, you guys are listening to us, the fact that there are race teams and riders and, you know, people dedicating their lives to this, like it's growing. It has the potential to grow. It has a massive spectator following. It can have a massive spectator following if you figure out the broadcast side of it, which Getson Rodeo does flipping amazingly. So, you know, like there are solutions. It's just, I don't get why they kind of just ran off and have a press conference and stuff about announcing the Hard Enduro Championship. Like, cool. Yeah.
But also, I'm just gonna make a statement here. Where is the information from that press conference? Because I have yet to see anything other. Like, I think it was just a press conference to a select few in like a dining hall, I haven't seen clear information about that since that press conference.
Yeah, I think there were like 5 topics that they were discussing in that press conference and they went through it one by one, mostly in German or like from the Austria side, but like for the rest of us it's kind of like okay, trying to figure out. But then also on the flip end of the side, on the other end of the coin, you have people that don't have the money to really enter the Hard Enduro World Championship, but now they have a chance to actually get onto the top 10 of the World Hard Enduro or the Extreme, what do they call it?
The Extreme Enduro Champion and the Rally World Champion.
Right. So
is that the name of this champion? Is it a championship or is it just...
It's not necessarily a championship. They're just claiming a champion.
A world champion.
World champion.
Okay.
One for rally, because obviously Red Bull Romaniacs is 4 or 5 days racing. So that's a rally style extreme enduro, where Erzberg is 1 day, 4 hours. Extreme. So they have one extreme world champion and one extreme rally world champion.
So if you think of like a champion, right? Wins a championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a race winner wins a race.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there something I'm missing here?
No, you got it. No, you're on the money. It's as clear as mud. But as I was saying, like someone like for myself, like any of us, like if we were like, okay, we have now a chance to become a world champion of extreme enduro or extreme rally enduro, we could go to do one race and hopefully get top 10, top 5, whatever it is, you know, and kind of get the title. So yeah, a lot of things going on.
Is there any like monetary prize that comes with these championships or being claimed as the proclaimed champion of rallying? And
to be honest, I haven't seen anything as of yet. This is something that we shared on our social media, that we hope that now if you're going to be a world champion, that this will come with some kind of monetary reward. But I haven't gotten clear information. Like I haven't come across information about what their prize money is going to look like, and if it is more, even, to be fair.
But what they have implemented is a travel stipend. So they're actually helping riders that are entered into the championship fly or like with a travel cost, like covering some of their costs to get to the race.
Yeah.
So that's what we've heard, but I haven't seen anything official like on their website or anything. This is just through speaking to people in the industry.
It'll be very interesting to see, or to hear what does happen there, because I remember Mario being very vocal that you enter Erzberg, you risk your life, and you get a rock that says 1, 2, or 3 on it.
That's legendary.
And you get a handshake. Don't forget the handshake.
Yeah, that was a good episode. If you haven't listened to that,
hats off to them for organizing an event. Like it's been around for so long, you know. But like I think we're so far past like why should riders still be trying to get money from risking their lives?
Yeah, and where does their salary come from then as well? Like. There needs to be a better solution. And then also, this is a good point to say that we don't have the solution, you know, like we are just talking about it, but this is just, you know, things that we feel kind of strongly about. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you guys out there that feel the same, that are spectators, riders, teams, and because that's kind of the general motion of we just bringing to light what we have been talking to a lot of you guys about. So, you know, it's just one of those things. But you're speaking about prize money. Another big thing to speak about and to mention is Silver Kings this year. So Silver Kings is a race that happens in the US. They are not part of the US Hard Enduro Championship, which is kind of controversial on their side. I don't want to get too much into the politics behind it, but they are pretty much making history with the number one prize or purse given away to the event. So they got 100,000 USD in prize money to give away at their race this year, which is phenomenal. 100,000 USD.
Wow.
Wild.
Dude, is that for the winner of the race?
It's split, so it'll be split among. I haven't seen exactly how they're going to split it, but 100,000 USD towards like as their budget to put towards prize money. That is like really cool. And not only that, they're inviting a lot of the world riders. So, you know, we've heard some like big names inside the world of hard enduro traveling across the pond to go do this race. And not even just the top rider, but their junior team as well. So not only are they bringing like the top rider, but, you know, they're bringing their entourage with to come and race and to supporting them with bikes and figuring out the logistics behind it. So yeah, good going Silver Kings on that. That seems wicked.
That's so good to hear. It's like the one little bit of good news that's like come in a long time. And it's kind of bizarre, like to think that is like the biggest prize money or the biggest purse that Enduro has had.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because like it's so crazy thinking, I mean, you watch motocross pods and they talk about like the purse there. I mean, on a supercross race on a night, a 450 winner can make 100K.
Yeah.
Like it's so crazy, but it's good to see it going in that direction. Not obviously there yet, it's a long way from it, but good to see that someone's stepping up and taking the initiative and like willing to invest in the sport.
I think like I fully agree and I'm super stoked in it. But then you also got like this question of like, okay, why should there be a championship? Because as a rider, of course you want to be crowned the world champion. I think that's the goal. But if it pays you next to nothing, then what's the actual motive? Like these riders, they still have to like feed themselves, you know, they still want to invest money and, you know, save up for whatever, you know, like a trip to wherever. Like I think like in their minds, they probably think, okay, world championship title, or I go race all these like kind of one-off events and make 100K or 50K winning it, you know?
Yeah, I think there's also like a lot tied to sponsors and like
of course,
winning bonuses if you win whatever some of these prestigious events, like maybe you win a Romaniacs or one of the like
iconic
tier
ones.
1 or A tier events. There's probably a lot of incentive and bonuses from their sponsors, their gear deals, goggle deals, helmet deals, energy drink deals. Yeah,
it's actually not a bad point. I don't think manufacturers are like very behind it. Like I think especially in because I mean only KTM really has somewhat of a budget. Like Sherco and them for sure have a budget, but it's a lot smaller of a factory, you know, like it's just pure, like it's just business, right? Like you sell more motorcycles, you got more budget in order to, sponsor more riders and give them a salary. So,
and that also then goes, I'm speaking only for like the elite, right? I mean, you're not having like a guy who's not in a factory team probably getting much money from a gear deal. Maybe he's just getting free gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But
right?
Yeah, like I would guess that the top riders, the factory riders, they have it written in their contract with their deal, with their gear, that, if they partake in these tier 1 events, they will get some sort of bonus for coming first, second, third, fifth, I don't know.
Well, not in hard enduro. I think hard enduro sponsorships were related to the championship. The Hard Enduro World Championship. I think that was like a lot of the, if you're in the championship and you're racing the events and you're seen on mainstream, media, then you get sponsorship. But now that there's no championship, it kind of puts everything a bit up in the air. Everyone's kind of like, well, what's the point in sponsoring? Like, where you're not going to get as much coverage as a sponsor, you know what I mean? So for them, I'm not sure if sponsors are as on board now as what maybe they were when the championship was running.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. Like, it just makes me think, do you think people or these hard enduro riders from the World Championship, do you think any of them have their eyes on maybe heading to US?
Oh,
definitely.
Good question.
Hey, I was just thinking now, like, for Will Royden, who chose to go to US and not stay in Europe and race... Oh, no, but I mean, not stay in Europe and race the Hard Enduro World Championship. Like, he must be pretty stoked on his decision. And I wonder if other guys from the Hard Enduro World Championship are now maybe looking at that route, because that championship looks like it's doing very well.
Bro, you're on the money there. And I think that's a big question that a lot of these top riders are asking themselves. It's more than just racing that championship. As you know, it's relocation to a new country, family, everything like that. But, for a business decision or a business deal, thinking for the future, it's definitely looks like it should be something that's on their radar. And I think that they are. And I think we're going to see a lot more of riders. Like, you see Johnny Walker not racing the Hard Enduro World Championship because there's just nothing in it for him. Like, and he goes and races Enduro Cross or Super Enduro inside America.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you think America would feel about that? Because
I can love it.
Would they? Would they?
I think they would love it.
For sure. I think there are positive aspects that will grow the sport in the US even more, and it gives more light on the US riders, that industry. But at the same time, we've seen the US riders compete against the European riders in a race like TKO, and yes, there were quite a few of the US riders up there, but you could argue that the European riders and the FIM riders were potentially stronger than the US riders.
But they were clearly. Yeah.
How are the US riders going to feel if a whole load of the top European riders were to head over to the US, participate in their championship, which is the US Hard Enduro Championship, and then win all the money, get all the top spots, and then basically kick them out of their own championship? Like, I can see it from both sides.
Go for it.
I think you're also on board with this. It's like, bro, if you're not fast enough, then you got to step it up. Like,
right.
But I think the idea of basically joining those two, like, if you could get those top 15, 20 guys, or maybe the top 10 to 15, if you could get them into the US scene, can you imagine what that championship would look like?
Yeah.
And how much attention that would draw?
SMX, bro.
Yeah, I'm literally thinking of that, because it's like the same, like Taryn just said, like, they're coming in and they're winning everything. It's basically like Jet Lawrence, like this Aussie boy just pulling in hot.
Ken Roxon.
Even Roxon, yeah.
Ken Roxon,
Marvin Muskin. The list is, like, there's so many guys.
I think there's room for it, and it's actually so exciting to, like, play with that idea and think of how many guys would head that way. I wonder. I mean, it's a bit late now for this year, but
yeah, that's already ongoing. They're already on round 3 or round 4 already of US Hard
Yeah, I
Enduro.
think they're heading to round 4 now in Moab.
Yeah, so I think that they would be stoked. I mean, even just with the comments that we've gotten on our social medias and from our community, it's everyone's like, Billy, come to US, Mario, come to US, Manny, come to US. Like, just imagine that. I think that the US boys as well, they're quite a tight-knit community of the top riders. They ride a lot with each other, do a lot of training with each other. I mean, when they can. I think that they would probably struggle having them there for year 1, but realize what they need to do in order to beat these guys, and year 2 would be just a massive level up.
I think for everyone, the level of riding of hard enduro would increase dramatically.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
The competition would just force everyone to just be better.
100%.
Imagine a place or a ranking that would rank all of the hard enduro riders in the world based on the amount of races they do consistently, do well in, and not necessarily have to travel across the pond to be a part of that ranking.
So something that's not necessarily location specific or like specific to, for example, the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship, is something outside of that.
Yes.
So like you're merging
everyone,
all
identified or accredited hard enduro championships. Their riders can race those championships in those countries, gain points, and then ranked on a leaderboard.
So you're saying
this is a brilliant idea. I like this.
To create a world ranking for everyone who's racing hard enduro around the world, and it's not based off of location, but based off of how much you race and how well you do in the races that you do. So if you do more races and you do well in those races, you will get a higher ranking than someone who just goes to, for example, a extreme rally champion and wins that one. They would just rank lower because they haven't been participating more and they haven't been doing well in more events over a period of time.
Yeah. I think we should probably stop.
I think
there.
you're onto. Let's
just stop it there because we've got something exciting to share with you guys inside the next episode. I'm pretty sure we've led you on. But thanks guys for listening. I think that covers pretty much the topics that we wanted to share today. If you want to join in on the conversation and give your thoughts, just drop a comment below. Let's chat about it. We want to hear more about what you guys are thinking, because surely we're not the only ones thinking the way that we are. And we'd love to hear what your thoughts are.